It has been a few days now since we last worked on Shards. I've had the whole weekend, and trust me, I've been thinking a lot about Shards and the features I would want to build into Shards. I'm actually quite excited about the application that we are going to build here. So where do we leave things off on Thursday? We have 8 PRs waiting for us. We were building, I think, 4 or 5 things in parallel on Thursday, and today we're now ready to review them. We're going to get them merged in. We're potentially going to have to do some bug fixing and fixing some issues that might be in those PRs. We're going to have to probably resolve some merge conflicts. And the idea is that we're going to review all of those 8 in parallel with 8 different review swarms as well. So that's going to be quite exciting. If you're new here, I have a consistent Claude Code workflow where I can reliably run multiple agents in multiple work trees, and I have a pretty good idea how to handle things, how my system works, how my prompts work. This series, we are exploring if Kiro can get up to the same standards as what I have for Claude Code. So let's see if Kiro can really support that type of workflow. So what are we building? We're building Shards. Shards is a CLI tool that can spin up AI agents in shards, which is essentially worktrees or environments that are isolated. We're trying to make it as effortless as possible to spawn a new instance of a coding agent inside of a new environment. And we also, of course, want to have some kind of monitoring of what is going on in those sessions. We are also at this point already using shards to build shards. I'm already using shards to spawn multiple instances. We'll see some examples of that today here. And on Thursday, we spec'd out a few new features that we also built. We figured out which ones could be built in parallel, so we did that as well. And some of those features are already implemented and waiting for us now. We have also 5 bug fixes that we did. And today then let's try to run that review swarm on everything so that we can actually start shipping the GUI as well. I have some pretty cool ideas for what I want for the GUI. So please like and subscribe and follow along, and let's get started right away here. So all I'm going to really do, I'm going to get Kiro started here as well. So we have the IDE. I just want to use Kiro as well here just to see where files are. I can't really remember the names of my prompts and so on. So we've been running into some issues with Kiro at times where we don't really know what our commands are called or prompts. So it's good to have this up here so that I can know which prompt I want to run, because there's no autocomplete in the CLI. So Kiro team, please get on that because it's really annoying. Okay, so what we want to do now, we're going to tell Kiro to read this file. So I'm going to say study that file and also check what open PRs we have. So I'm just going to bring in our usage here. We have quite a lot of usage left to use up for this hackathon. Also some context around that. We're doing this for a hackathon. That's why we're using Kiro. It's for me so that I can learn how to use Kiro effectively for this hack. I'm going to also be part of judging the hackathon. So let's take a look. We have here our 8 PRs. This PR24 here is actually not something that was done in the videos. This is something I did. I had some ideas in the weekend and I just put them here. So there's 2, let's say, planning files here for some ideas that I had that I didn't want to forget in the weekend. So I put them there. This is all open source, so you can go and look at that if you want to, but we might get into that today as well, or it might come later when we actually start building the GUI, because these things are more GUI related, or potentially at least. Okay, so we have here a bunch of different PRs. We have done some kind of automated code review. We did a self review. This is the one that runs automatically by my implementation command. We haven't done any review swarming on these yet. So let's go back into the CLI and let's see. Okay, so now I want you to use the skill.md and shards to launch 7 worktrees. So I want a worktree for each of these PRs except for PR24. We can skip PR24. Okay, let's see how it handles this. So now we see it's starting to run shard commands here. So we should start to see some terminals popping up. We can see 1 here coming, 2, Kiro. So 1 is actually missing. I think this is one of the bugs that we fixed actually, that is missing. It basically, the first time it launches, it opens 2 terminals with only 1 is actually launching the agent. Let's see, I'm just going to fix our rectangle here. Ideally, I would want to sort these out better, but I don't know. I've started to use rectangle for some reason because the old tool that I used, Amethyst, but it's weirded out when I install like the new Mac OS Tahoe, So I still have it, but I have deactivated it to kind of wait for the updates. But rectangle have served the purpose for some time here, but yeah, I'm not a big fan. I also want to I really just want to change the layout. Okay, here we go. Force, is that it? No, this is not it at all. Like a layout. Okay, here we go. Yeah, so there's no layout setting here, what I can see. Okay, fine. We're just gonna do it like this. Yeah, so we have here. Okay, so this is also, I'm just gonna bring it out into my other monitor. It's just so that I can see what to work on. So we see here, issue 15 is our PR number 23. So again, I'm just gonna have to, I think it's at code review. So I'm just gonna do at code dash review. I'm gonna copy that. I'm just gonna send that into all of them. Yeah, that's the right one. So I'm just gonna send it here. So this is also annoying. I don't know the hotkeys. We're like swapping between these windows. So yeah, it's a little bit flaky here. I'm doing this at the moment, but yeah, bear with me. This one was issue number 23. See here, issue 13 is number 20. Issue 12 is number 21. Issue 14 is 20. Yes, didn't I start these in skip permission off? What the hell? So it didn't actually start it in skip permission mode here. So this is going to be annoying if you're going to have to babysit all of this. Let's see first here, issue 16, that was PR number 19. And this one is PR number 18. And this is restart. Okay, that's number 17. Okay, I'm just going to do /trust all, I think. No, I'm just going to Google here. Kiro trust all. Here, /tools trust all. Let's hope that this now works. Okay, I think we are in trust all mode. How can I tell? Well, at least our agents are running. They were quite quick. So I don't think they actually checked enough. This one was actually a small one, so that's fine. I wanted to review the entire PR. So this is stupid. It can't review the PR. It's like literally inside of the work tree. This one is done. I'm just gonna say you are in the work tree. Basically just using this as a test to see if it can do work inside there. Yes. Please add all, like all of the findings. Okay, it's just want to add a pre-commit hook. Fine, it can add the pre-commit hook. I didn't tell it the option, but it's fine. So it can do work inside there. That's fine. So it's just some issue with the Kiro agent just not understanding that it actually is inside of the work tree. So can here also take action. So I'm going to tell this one as well, just to test here. Please take action on all of them. I want you to implement the important issue that you found, and I also wanted to address all the suggestions. Great. Did you also push it to the PR? We're managing here quite well. I'm going to now actually start opening these up here. So I'm going to tell it here as well to please take action. All of the items, including suggestions, address all and update the PR. So I'm just going to do this on all actually. Let's just see what it comes back with. We can always roll back if it does something stupid. And tell it the same here and here. Okay. So we can just minimize here a little bit so we get some space. We might get back to using that one later. I think that all of these are gonna run autonomously now until they are implemented. So we're just gonna close them out. Now let's go into our like human review part. So we should have some review reports here to check on these PRs. I think this one is done. Okay, no, this one is not addressed yet. Yeah, and we get quite nice reports. Something I like to add to reports as well that I have in my other system that we will add probably later as well is it usually tells me I have kind of predefined some critical paths that I like to human review on, where I know mistakes have happened before and stuff like that. So I just want to have those like points pointed out in my code base where I want to go in and check myself. I don't really know where those points are yet in Shards. So I don't have any of those to add. But that's something I really advise everyone to do, like within your code bases. When you have a review system like this, you will still be the one to know where is there a specific place in your code base where you have done some kind of like custom logic maybe, or where the agent keeps messing up code or messing up in that part of the code base. Add like just a flag that if changes were made here, flag it to me so that I can go in and verify. So that's like a way to give more signal and less noise in these code reviews. And I can just review the things that I really care about. And the rest is I can test it manually because I'm going to be using this a lot. Let's see, we have some changes here. It seems like it's not updating as it should. I'm just gonna open these all up again. Why not? Okay, push to PR. These are still going. Can you please address all of the issues and suggestions and push it to the PR? So PR 21 should be ready, and PR 23, and this one too, which is, please tell me which PR you are on. 21, 22, 23 should be done. Okay, let's check that. We can open up our pull request list here again. We have had some more pushes here. Okay, let's just take a look. 21 should be done. So I can see here that things have been pushed. Okay, so I think we should actually have a code simplifier agent as well that I kind of want to run on these. Let's see, I think we should have code simplifier. Yes, let's just run the code simplifier on the ones that are done as well. Please run the code simplifier agent on this PR again, and then push up the results to the PR. So we're just going to do that. Yeah, I'm very vibe coded here so far in a way. Like I'm using my system, of course, I'm using very battle tested prompts here, but I'm not really doing a lot of code reviewing. I actually don't read a whole bunch of code normally either, but I do have a lot more robust checkpoints set up. For example, what I just said about setting up these manual checkpoints that like cannot get triggered by the agent, so I can see when it has been in and touching code that I really want to check. I also spend a lot of time in the planning phase to kind of avoid these things. I know also that everything that we're currently working on is very simple features. So I have pretty high trust that I would at least have pretty high trust that Claude Code would have done a good job at this. I do not know about Kiro CLI. I know that I'm running Sonnet 4.5. I'm running like actually in auto mode at the moment. So there is some risk there that there is some kind of switching between Sonnet and Haiku, and we're actually not getting the results we're expecting. It's all good though. Like we're not gonna mess something huge up because we are not building anything complicated. And we can always add issues and address these later when we start testing. Anyways, this should now be good. We're running everything. So while all of our agents are running, let's pull this up. Not this one. Let's pull up the browser. So let's just take a look at the thing that I was planning in the weekend for the GUI as well. Like we can take a look here. So I basically want to have a native desktop application that is built with gpui. There is no like real reason why I choose gpui here. It's really just a technology that I want to try. I use Sed as my IDE, and I just want to get into testing it. I might want to start contributing to Sed. So I kind of want to try the technology out and see how things work and how I can make things work on my own here. But yeah, basically the idea of the UI is that it will allow us to use and trace our shards. But essentially it will be almost like a tmux where we trace our sessions, and we can open up our sessions, open and close our sessions, and we can basically launch shards from the UI. A whole bunch of other things that I think will be pretty cool to be able to do as well, like launch background agents with SDKs and a whole bunch of things for the plans. But the first thing let's just build the UI on top of the CLI to have the same functionality, and then we can start adding more features. But yeah, more or less this is what I'm thinking, right? That we have the shards core, where we have everything that we need to control, like all the control flows. Then we will have a CLI where our agents operate. So we will have shard commands for the agent to simply be able to run simple CLI commands to manage everything for us. And we will have a front end where we as humans can go in and control everything. I think that the GUI is going to be more of, let's say, a dashboard or a control center where we see what's going on. I'm going to try to keep it as lightweight as possible. I'm only going to add features that I actually want and I see a need for. So I'm going to be very careful with what features I add here. I don't want to have it be bloated and just a bunch of Christmas tree of features in this. But yeah, anyways, CLI first. The only reason why it's the CLI first is essentially because we want the agent to be able to operate on it with the combination, the Claude Code skill or agent skill. We want it to be fast and extremely easy to work with. I don't think there is much drawing for the UI. This is a long plan file. I spent some time on this over the weekend, but I'm going to go into excalidraw. I'm just going to kind of start drawing here a little bit. So what I'm thinking for the UI, that we have this essentially, we have a little bit of a sidebar here. In the sidebar, we have our shards. So these are shards. And maybe even before this, we have like a settings screen where this is where we can set up our projects. So this is in here, projects. And the idea there is this is just basically going to be a list of projects that we have set up and pre-configured. So basically, I haven't decided yet if we want to use GitHub for this or if we just want to use like our local directories. I'm leaning towards local Git directories because that's going to make it very quick for us to be able to pull it from a project into a shard. And we can basically control this however we want to without any authentication with GitHub or anything. So that's what I'm thinking, at least initially. Then say we have our shards here. Maybe we have a little control menu here or something where we can switch between our projects and we have our different shards running. Now say that I click a shard, I will open like a terminal window. So I haven't decided yet if I want like one terminal window or if I want multiple terminal windows here, like next to each other. So we can have like tabs of a terminal, if you will. At least I'm thinking that might be useful when we're doing things like what we're doing right now. We're kind of we're doing quick things. We're kicking off things into different terminal windows. But that's where I also want to have the CLI. The CLI start command will basically be a way for us to pipe in things directly into the shards. So basically say that we are in this, say that we have this thing going on, right? Where we know now that we have 8 terminals running, 8 shards up here, right? We can just say, please send this prompt to all the shards that are open. And it will just use the CLI to pipe in those messages into our shards. So say that I want to send that same prompt where I said at code review, for example, do at code review on all of these. It just does it for me. Like I don't have to, it just uses the CLI. And because of the skill, it knows how to operate the CLI. So it will launch that on my shards. I can see it's happening in the UI if I have the UI open. But it's basically happening in the terminal process, right? That I can open and close it here and it will keep running. That's the idea of the UI, that we can kind of control that flow. So yeah, that's what I'm thinking. And then we will basically just have some kind of status bar here with some metadata around what is running, how many processes are running, memory usage, kind of useful stuff here. Not too much signal, or rather not too much noise about what is going on inside of the sessions. Let's do that first. Like it's interactive, right? We can click into each session to see what's going on in that session, and we can make it interactive by clicking in. So that's what I'm thinking. Like we're not doing background agents just yet. That will come later. But yeah, so basically this is just using the CLI piping through the terminal. So there is no SDKs or anything in this yet. But yeah, keeping it as simple as possible, as primitive as possible. The hard part here, of course, is going to be to build the terminal. So you're probably going to start with one terminal window. And you basically have to click into each terminal. If I click on these, I open the different terminals. So these are basically my tabs to click into the different sessions. We should have some kind of notification system. So we'll have like notifications up here, like a bell, but we also want to get a little dot on this. Say that I just pull it out, make it a circle first. I would have my notifications coming in here. It needs my attention, so I can click into those. And yeah, but that's like more or less it. Like that's what I'm seeing for this application. And then so I basically would have 2 controls here. One little menu here maybe for projects, or one little menu here for projects where I can click in between projects, so that I can click in between shards and then have the shard open. All of this will be run in worktrees, but I'm also planning, or just Docker, with like pre-configured containers for my projects. And if you want to run this as well, you can just pre-configure containers for your projects to run them in. That's what I'm thinking, at least. If anyone has any ideas and like ideas for features, like how do you want this UI to look like? You can of course come with ideas. Please put them in the comments. Like what are you usually missing from these type of applications? One thing that I really have a problem with, I mean, there are many these kind of control applications out there, and I have tried a few of them. I've also built a few of them, but my main problem usually with them is that they are very feature heavy. So when you go into them, it's just like a Christmas tree of things going on. you don't really know where to get started, and it's just trying to do too much. Like, it's tracking everything. What's the value in all of this stuff? I'm going to try to focus on this from a problem and value perspective. What problem is it solving? What value is it giving me? So I'm, of course, in the first hand building this for myself. It's a way for me to control my workflow. And of course, I want to have other users on it as well to be able to give feedback around what is working and not working for them. But essentially, let's build it for ourselves, right? Let's build it for things that work for us, and let's not worry about too broad of a user base. Let's focus on engineers who want to run their terminals in parallels in isolated environments and be able to control that in a simple way. That's literally it. That's it. That's what we're building. Yeah, let's keep that simple. I'm going to put this drawing probably somewhere. I might make it a bit prettier, but just to see, so we can visualize the UI, what it's going to be like. And yeah, let's go back into GitHub. I can see here that there are a bunch of these that are not pushed. So I'm just going to open up all of these. Please make sure that everything is pushed to the PR. So I'm just gonna, I can't be bothered to go in to check which one it is that haven't pushed, but I'm just gonna send this so that all of them pushes everything. What is probably happening is that there is some type of artifacts that are not pushed. That's why we're getting those messages in. Everything up. What I'm suspecting is happening here is that there is some issue actually with shards and the work tree creation. I don't know, probably with how work trees are managed between issues and pull requests. And I think that there might be duplicates of some things here. That's my theory, at least. Because let's go in here. Let's go and ask this guy. So we have this guy here. Can you please check these work trees? I'm getting messages in GitHub that we have recent pushes on work tree issue 16, issue 14, and issue 15, that they had recent pushes, but that there are no PRs, but there should be PRs for everything. So I just want to check, like, where is those messages coming from and what is actually happening there. Yeah, so as I figured, there is some kind of duplicate thing going on here. Yeah, so I figured this would happen at some point. It's basically our prompts that are telling them to create PRs, and they create a new PR on the PR essentially, or a new branch on the branch. We're telling them to create branches, so they are, instead of first checking where they are creating new branches. Okay, can you please clean this up in the best way possible without losing any work? Yeah, the best thing would be to get all the correct branches in on the correct, merged in with the correct branches on the correct PRs. Obviously, I'm not gonna be bothered to do that manually. So let's just do a Hail Mary here. If it fails, of course, we can just rerun the implementation. That's also the benefit of working with these agents. They can write code so quickly. So if they mess up things like this, we just roll back and try again. Okay, so if we think about what's actually happening here, it's our prompts saying to create the new branch before you start working without checking where they are. So we need to update our prompts actually inside of our, just in the commands that we, like the Kiro prompts that we have. We need to tell the agent to first check that if they are on the branch already, then they shouldn't create the branch on the branch. They should just not do things directly on main. That's the main goal. This, by the way, seems like a high risk operation here, that things are going to go wrong. But yeah, let's just push through and see what happens. Okay, so it's telling me that problem was resolved. Okay, let's see. Okay, awesome. Now, please do PR triage. The goal of the triage is to check which merge order we should do. So do a bit of a dependency analysis and conflict analysis. Conflicts are fine, but we want to have minimal conflicts and merged in the best order possible for the most important PR. So I closed out all of our work tree sessions. Okay, please start the merging. And as you merge, please also clean up the shards for whatever you merge in. Okay, so now it's basically just autonomous merging here. We're going to test everything after all of the merges are in. But yeah, just to give some feedback about what we are doing here, we're basically adding a very simple feature for cleanup. We are adding some, this is like the most advanced thing we're doing here. Essentially, we're creating better tracking because we were handling, we were tracking also a script instead of actually tracking the agent process launcher. So we needed to do a lot of changes on this one. So I think this is actually the one that is now being merged in first, or not. We need to do some rebasing here, of course. But yeah, this one is the most complicated one by far. It's touching almost the entire application, as you can see. So this one is, after this is merged, we basically need to retest everything. But yeah, with that said, I'm just going to merge everything in and then test. If you're building something important and you have gotten further along in your project, I would definitely not recommend you do this, but let's see. So a couple of things that we are going to do, I think in tomorrow's video, we're going to add a couple of extra sub-agents, or at least one. So one agent that I found great success with Claude Code is that every time when I'm done reviewing a PR, I run a documentation impact analysis. And basically what the agent does is it scans our current developer and user-facing documentation. So everything inside of /docs essentially, and the README. And it checks if any of the logic affects anything that is written in any of those documents, and it suggests changes to me so I can make decisions on changes. I've also ran it on some projects fully autonomous where you just make the update, which is a great thing. And then you can just do like a human review on the actual documentations later. But yeah, it's actually quite useful because it quite often happens that some logic tweaks some part of the documentation, especially when you work with agents and you do changes quickly. I definitely want to do that tomorrow. We don't have documentation yet, so we might build this documentation system a little bit differently from what I have done in other projects. What I'm envisioning for that documentation process is that we have two agents. One is a DX focused agent, so developer experience focused documentation agent, and one is a user experience focused agent. So we'd have a docs DX and docs UX folder where we have docs written for developers and docs written for our users. We of course want to keep both of these lightweight, we want to keep them as minimal as possible, but just how to get up and running quickly for contributors or developers and how to get up and running quickly for users. So they're going to have some shared stuff probably, but yeah, that's what I'm envisioning, to have this kind of separation from the get-go. So that's going to simplify things down the line, I think. Okay, I think we are closing in on, we have one PR left. Okay, here we go. We should now be done. Everything should be merged. The only thing we have left, of course, is our plan for the UI. We have 3 issues left open. The ghosted terminal support, this is something that I really also want to take a look at soon. Session name matching and display issues in the list command. Terminal type selection and cross-platform terminal source. Yeah, this is also something, it's not important right now, even though I do really want this. As long as this is a CLI only, these two matters, but they don't matter actually if we build our own UI. So I haven't decided exactly what I want to do with those, because Shards is always going to be a useful CLI only application. So having support for this will make the CLI super useful, even if you don't have the UI, because then you can just run it in any terminal, any of your terminals, like you don't need the UI to make it useful. So I probably will want that too, but yeah. Okay, so now we are in a situation where we have merged in 7 PRs without doing a lot of manual testing. So what I want you to do now is I want you to basically test all of our CLI commands and report any issues. So run through all of the CLI commands that we have. Also check the skill.md, and we need to analyze if we need to update any instructions in the skill.md if anything has changed in how to use shards. We already have a bunch of issues. I expected this because we did a bunch of crazy stuff here, both with the merging and conflict resolving, and when we did kind of like branch issue handling. Okay, so now it's actually starting to fix things here right away. I'm not sure what I think about that. Adding a bunch of to-dos. We're not tracking PID. Yeah, so you have this working, it's launching. Something that we also want to be able to configure is which CLI we're launching and which kind of like startup command that we're using. We have support for that. We just haven't made sure that those commands are actually correct. I'm suspecting that they're not. Yeah, we can close those out. Okay. Please update the skill.md, and then I also want you to merge all of the changes that we have made here, including the skill.md updates. Then I want you to create a list of all the issues you ran into. And also I saw that you added some to-dos, so please list those out for me as well. Okay, so it's actually tracking the no PID before, that's why it didn't have a PID. Okay, so these hours go pretty quickly. We've already been spending an hour. We didn't get too far on anything new, but we got everything merged in. It all works. We have some updates to our skill.md. We soon will have a list probably of new issues that we may or may not want to address. Okay. Okay, I'm just going to tell it to please create detailed GitHub issues for all of the to-dos and issues. Now, for the merge conflict issues, a lot of things that I actually think happened because of our prompts, like our .kiro/agents prompts and our .kiro/prompts. In a lot of those, I know that we are telling agents and prompts to create new branches. But I think before we tell it to create new branches, we need to tell it to check which branch it's on, because it's already on the branch that it should be working on. Then obviously it shouldn't create a new branch. And I think that's actually what happened on a lot of those issues there. So this context window that we're using here, we've obviously used for a lot of things now. I don't normally do that, but I also want to track everything that is going on here. I normally use my main context window for managing work trees, managing sessions, keeping track of things that I have open, so I can always come back and ask it, what do I have going on? I sometimes use it to create issues and help me with debugging, but not very often. I try to keep that as clean as possible to just keep track of the meta of what is going on. And then I use individual work trees or individual sessions to do more like this spot work. So not trying to do as much in one context window, but like keeping every context window very focused on the one thing. But I think that it's actually checking the prompts here first. I think that's actually good. Let's see if it updates anything. Yeah. Okay, so it's updating. Perfect. So yeah, I'm just going to clean this up. If you want those new prompts, obviously go into the Shards directory and grab them for your project if you're participating in the hackathon. And yeah, one of these days, I don't know if tomorrow or another day this week, I'm probably going to do a little bit of a longer session, potentially even a live stream. So if you want to see that, please comment down below, where I'm going to be building. Probably the goal of that longer session will be to build a GUI or start to build a GUI, because I think that's going to require a lot more time than an hour. So I would want to also spend a lot of thinking in that one to kind of really think about what I want so that I get the features right for the front end. But yeah, I'm just going to let this run. It's going to create a bunch of issues. It's going to update a bunch of prompts, nothing more. We're going to test that all out in upcoming days, so we don't have to worry about that right now. I'm going to run add to devlog, so I add everything to devlog, and I will see you in the next one.